Reactions are still trailing what some would call the inappropriate attitude of Aisha Yesufu after she failed to stand up while the national anthem was sung at an event. Aisha Yesufu has been known for her activism on the hashtag Bring Back Our Girls movement. But it was a surprise for many Nigerians when she refused to honor the anthem and opted to sit. After being asked why she refused to stand, she said she doesn't acknowledge the, quote, Nigeria We Hail Thee anthem as her national anthem and would rather stick with Arise O Compatriots.
Oh, as far as I'm concerned, there's no new and old national anthem. There's only one Arise O Compatriots, and that's what I'm standing. And Aisha Yesufu, if I'm at any occasion and they ask me to stand up for the national anthem, I'm going to stand up for the national anthem. But if they start playing that, whatever they hail thee, I'm sitting down, I'm picking my phone, I'm not going to stand there, because for me, that's an obnoxious law. And the National Assembly have things that they need to focus on. If they are not ashamed of themselves, we, the citizens of Nigeria, are ashamed on their behalf. And that's not what they should be focused on. And right now, we have companies that are leaving Nigeria. We're losing a lot. Our GDP is going down. There's no security of lives and properties. And, you know, adults who are supposed to be adults sat down in one place and they say they want to take themselves back to Nigeria. They hailed you, because I don't know who is hailing that thing. And we have a national anthem that was done by a Nigerian, and they want to subjugate us to what was brought in by the colonial rulers who were trying to get away. No, heck no. There's one that there's, as far as there's one national anthem. Arise O Compatriots.
Well, joining us in the studio is the Director General, Imo Broadcasting Corporation, Ife Onyegbule. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to have you join us.
Thank you for having me.
Good morning to you.
Now, there are those who said they were surprised by her reaction. I don't know if you were, because I wasn't, by typical Aisha Yesufu, I would want to say. But one would expect that someone of her standing would know better. When you say a law is obnoxious, there are better ways of dealing with it. But what do you make of her reaction?
Just as you've said, I'm not surprised. I don't know why people are surprised about what it is that, you know, happened at that event. And as you've said, for someone at that level, it's expected. Even if you have your grievances, even if you have things that you don't agree with, I don't think that's a proper way to actually show your grievances. Imagine that every other person, people were all standing up, and she became the cynosure of all eyes. They were wondering, why would you be sitting through? We're talking about Nigeria here. Nobody is bigger than Nigeria. That's the truth. Even the president or any other official as it is, Nigeria is bigger than everyone. As I said to someone, why didn't people decide to say, okay, we're not going to use the new Naira notes that just came out. We're sticking with the old notes. You know, when the government came into place and said, look, these two notes or Naira notes will will go hand in hand. We'll have to use the two at the same time. Why didn't some people reject it to say we're only going to use one? So I'm saying that there are better issues for us to be talking about, engaging with government, issues that have to do with us as Nigerians, to say this is how. There are ways to even put it across to say, why don't we look at this? Yes, this is something that was adopted in 1960. It's still about Nigeria. I sat down and I looked at the lyrics.
Yeah.
It still made sense to me. So if the government says this is where we're going now, and it doesn't hurt anyone, why don't you just go ahead with it? It's still our anthem. Yes, 1960, it was jettisoned in 1978 before this other one, Arise O Compatriots, came to be. Now in 2024, we're saying, let's look at this. Yes, some people may disagree to say this was written by a non-Nigerian,
Colonialist.
an expatriate as it is, and the one that was written by, who says that things cannot turn around as it is? But I think there are better ways of putting things across.
Absolutely.
Interesting stuff. So written by colonials. By the way, happy 51 to you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you very much.
So written by colonials. You say you check the lyrics and then you saw that it's very fantastic and all of that. But then the one that they changed,
Yes.
Arise O Compatriots, is also enforced on us by the military government. As
That's
people
right.
have actually argued. So do you feel that for peace to reign, we should better look at what we are writing or what we would write our own selves rather than...
But the sentiment is that this other one was written by an expatriate, the other one, composed by a group of Nigerians. But the idea is, this is our anthem. It's talking about Nigerians as it is. I looked at the other one. Yes, I'm still trying to get in the groove with the song, the lyrics as it is. Yes, we're all used to this other one. Even when you're reciting the one that everyone knows, or maybe when you talk about our generation, the one that we know, we grew up knowing, some people still don't get up to recite it. You see people moving all over the place. They don't respect it to, just stand and do that anthem that won't even take you 5 minutes. So I think we need to look at the way that we do things so that we don't give a wrong impression to the world as it is. It's an anthem, and we just have to obey and, be patriotic when that anthem is being sung.
Well, the concern of the federal government, or really why they decided to bring this back, is to reinvigorate that desire or that mindset that we should have towards one another, that we are one, whether tribe, tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Because recall that leading up to the election, the level of biases, tribal, religious, and all of it, and the government is saying we should understand that we are one. Whatever the differences may be, there's the need to come together. Why is it so difficult for people to see the message as against the messenger?
Okay, so Veronica, you need to understand what it's called when we talk about sentiments. There's so much going on.
Right.
Everywhere is, now let me use the local parlance, everywhere is choking, as it is, the prices of things, people are agitated and all of that, and they're saying, look, how can this group of people just sit together? And the most important thing you're talking about now is to say we're going back to an anthem that was jettisoned in 1978. Not everyone will want to sit down, like you and I who sat down to say, look, let's look at it. It's still Nigeria's anthem. If the government says, let's do this. I saw all sorts of things that people were coming up with online. They're saying, oh, if we're going back to this anthem, then bring back those constables. You understand how they were looking in those days. They're saying, let's go back to when you used to use the Peugeot cars.
Yes.
That's what it was at that time. And I'm saying, this is not a matter for anyone to joke about. But people are looking at it
spirit of
like,
the message.
Yes, people are looking at it to say, if we're going back to this anthem, then take us back to where we used to be and all of that. Talking
economically,
about
socially,
exactly,
and otherwise.
Which is not possible.
Right.
But I think people need to understand that there is a good message in something that you may think is bad. Sit down and look at the lyrics. You understand that it's still relevant today. And I think that people should try and embrace it, no matter what it is.
Some people who actually, agree with the lyrics, they feel like, the speed, in which they passed that, they revert to the old national anthem was just too fast. Do you feel that they would have done better if they had, engaged in more public consultation before they arrived at
Yes, I think so. I think so. Speak with people. People want you to show them how important that they are, to say, this is what we want to do. There are ways of doing this. Talk to the people. And when I say the people, you're not going to bring over 200 million Nigerians together. But let that conversation be there. Open up the line so that people can get to talk about it.
But
and
that's why we have representatives at the Senate and the House of Reps. They are there to represent the interests
of the people.
Of their people.
Yes, he just talked about the speed with which that happened. Maybe that's what people are looking at. But I'm saying to people, you don't have to dilly-dally or talk about something for a year or two. If it's something you can do as fast as you can, why not do it? But I think all of this will simmer down. and we'll just generally move on with our lives.
Well, you think you're going to move on because since after 2023, she just alluded to, the fallout of the general election, and some people are still aggrieved. And with this alacrity of passing or reversion to the old national anthem, a lot of invectives, a lot of people, expressing their anger, even saying some things that are not even connected to Nigeria.
You can't have water that is completely still. It's not possible. There will always be the ripple here and there. So what you're seeing will always be there. It was there during the Jonathan's administration. There were people who were agitated about one thing or the other. It was there during the Buhari administration. There were people who were agitated about too many things. I'm sure you know what was happening on social media. People were talking and all of that. And people will continue to talk. It's not just in Nigeria, even in other parts of the world. You see that their citizens are talking. Look at what's happening in the US with the former president, Donald Trump, who's been found guilty on 34 counts, as it is. People are talking. Go to social media. You'll be amazed at the number of things that people are talking about and the way they are, projecting these things. Comedians are having a field day with all of this. So it will continue to happen. Nigeria is not different. In South Africa, things are happening. I recently saw the former president, Jacob Zuma, who's also come up now, is saying things and people are also talking. People will continue to talk. It simply means that something is going on and people are looking at it and they are talking about it. It's about our nation and we'll continue to talk.
I would have expected perhaps some form of debate even within the National Assembly because of the various representation of parties and interests as it is, like we saw. And we didn't get that. So I am wondering, has everybody subsumed themselves into one as it is? Because that was what a majority of Nigerians were expecting. Healthy debates before we get to a conclusion as it is. But it's interesting to see that this just moved swiftly.
That everybody just agreed. Yeah. We may not know exactly what it is that's transpired there, but with what it is that we've seen, they've all agreed to say, let's move on. But I've seen cases where people right there in the chambers, they disagree on quite a number of issues and they express themselves, which is what it should be. But this has moved on. But can we just move on? There's so many.
No, we are Nigerians. We don't move on.
There's so many
like that.
I think our own job now as media persons is to find a way to enlighten the people, especially the young ones, the now generation. People need to learn the lyrics. I don't know for both of you. Sometimes when I anchor events and you're saying, can we stand up for the national anthem? You're looking at people. They can't even mouth the words. Right. They're not mouthing the words of the Arise O Compatriots. Is it this other one? Are they going to sit down? I am sitting down. Right. I'm managing a media organization, a state-owned media organization. I am sitting down now to get used to the lyrics and the tune as it is. That's right.
So perhaps you could just...
And that's what Nigerians... Don't put me on the spot.
Help us speak small.
Don't put me on the spot, Veronica. Because it's all over the place now. So I've just told you, I reported myself to say, I'm trying to get used to the lyrics. And I think
you're running for president.
You understand? And they go and hide it somewhere.
She doesn't even know.
And they bring it out. So I think we should get to learn the lyrics. I am learning it. Because someday I'm going to stand somewhere and I'm anchoring an event where you have serious Nigerians, you have...
And the DJ failed.
And exactly. And you have people from outside the shores of the country and you say, sing the anthem. Yeah. And people are not able to do that. So for me, I'm learning it. It doesn't stop me from eating. It doesn't change anything. Just learn the lyrics. This is what we're working with now. Right. And I just think people should, relax.
So how do you think this reversion will paint Nigeria to the outside world, talking about the image of Nigeria and also value orientation, which you say the media should, to champion?
Yes.
Who should do what? One, the first question is, what do you think people of the, outside community will think about Nigeria and the way we are reacting and what we need to do going forward?
I don't want to bother myself about what it is that people think, because they have their own problems too. I've just told you about some of the things happening in the US. You have their issues in the UK. Remember when you had a Bojo?
I'm saying that, for instance, on the global stage, during football, before they start football, they recite the national anthem. You understand?
So you just change it. They may not be able to mouth the words that I've just said, but they would give you the tune. You play it. All you need to do is stand, and however you want to place your arms or hand or whatever, do that, but stand and respect the nation as it is. There's nothing wrong in that. They will definitely play the tune. And I'm saying to people, it's not difficult to learn. I'm trying to get in the groove, and I think people should also. And teachers in school, children need to begin to learn this. They say, teach a child.
We saw some videos of children, learning and singing.
Yes, as it is.
The reverted national anthem.
Well, our national anthem.
It's our national
It's our national anthem.
Well, whichever way, but we are seeing children and schools, taking up this responsibility to teach children this new national
Which is exactly what it should be.
Right, but let's quickly perhaps take a quick look at the wordings of this anthem, especially stanza 3, where it says, grant this our one request, help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed, and so with peace and plenty, Nigeria may be blessed. Our commitment to all of these statements or these written words is another issue that Nigerians are asking. How committed are we, and how committed should we be now that we have returned to something we feel reflects what Nigeria should be at the end of it?
So I also align with that. I heard that conversation at some place. Adults were talking about it, that it goes beyond going back or reverting to what was jettisoned in 1978. How are we going to, live that through the wordings, what she's just read now? When you look at the Arise O Compatriots, Nigeria's call, obey. How many people obey that call as it is? Now, she's talked about this. How much would you, or how many people would you find abiding by this, even those who speedily passed it to say, this is exactly where we're going now? So it's about being able to reflect what it is that this anthem is telling us. And I just hope that it starts from the top to the bottom, because the people on this other rung of the ladder, they are waiting to see how you live up to the wordings of this anthem.
Okay, so still talking about the wordings, we have our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign, in peace or battle or not, and these we count as gain, to hand to our children a banner without stain. So recall that the fallout with NSAS, we saw people flying the Nigerian flag stained with blood. And we know we always talk about...
That's so much disrespect.
Yeah, absolutely. So So, justice, injustice, corruption, and all of that. And we see what happened through the judiciary. How do you think everyone should internalize this? Not just Nigerians, but those who are representing Nigerians at the aim of affairs. For instance, the judiciary ensuring that administration of justice is pure and honest.
They just want, the people just want things to be done right. And I think the leaders are also understanding that, because when you look at it, I'm sure you bear me witness that what we're seeing now, the kind of attention we're seeing that the leaders are giving to issues now, it's different from what it was 10 years ago. I remember as a regular reporter, presenter, producer, I was always on the street during elections, monitoring and seeing what was going on. And I'm telling you, things are changing. Just as the leaders understand that the people are now aware. You can't do some of the things I used to do 15, 20 years ago. People are aware. And with the advent of social media, they understand now that people have the power in their hands. So they're trying as much as they can to do what is expected of them and give people the kind of lives that you should get as a citizen of the country. You just talked about the flag. I'll share with you, I was in The Hague some years ago, and as soon as we entered, it was a cohort, as soon as we entered the building that's at The Hague, I went straight for my green and white flag. There were people, their countries may not be, they didn't see their flags there. They were looking for it. And they didn't see it. With all the flags there, people were going and identifying with theirs. Mine stood out. It was green and white, and I found it. I wrapped it around me. It felt good in another man's land. You're seeing your flag, you're identifying with it. It's a thing of pride. So I'm saying that people should try as much as they can to respect that flag. It's our flag. And the way you do it, the way you carry it, people will watch you that way. So the people are looking at government to say, give us the basic amenities of life. That's what we want. I recently posted about, as I came into Lagos, by the way, this thing is affecting me. I was supposed to fly out. I'm not able to.
So you'll be in Lagos for a while.
So as I came in, I said to them, NEPA is, forgive me, NEPA is really trying and all of that. You need to see the comments there that are like, no, Madam DG, where are you living that you're saying NEPA is doing well in Lagos? Which is your band? I said, it's only in Lagos people are doing all this band A to Z and all of that. Okay, this is my band. People were coming. We haven't had power in the last 3 days, 4 days, 1 month, and all of that. People just want the basic amenities of life. And I'm saying to you, nobody can do it all. The Jonathan administration, there were things he was not able to do, or they were not able to do. He had the Buhari administration, he had its own challenges. This is another administration. They're focusing on a lot of things. They will get things done. Whoever is even coming after, when this administration is done and leaves, there are things you will definitely inherit. Rishi Sunak is not finding it easy in the UK. That's the truth. Biden is not finding it easy in the US. People are bashing both of them here and there. So that's the way it goes, and I'm hoping that things work out for the better.
Now, earlier on, you mentioned this current generation, and I'm looking at the lyrics. I'm wondering how we can instill the spirit of patriotism as it is moving forward. Because no matter what you say about any government, you already mentioned that there's so much for government to do, but that shouldn't stop you from being patriotic to your country as it is. How do we instill that, especially in this generation?
First of all, I think it starts from the home. And as we've said, you just talked about kids reciting this anthem. You need to instill it in them. Then again, parents need to also let children understand why it is that they need to be patriotic. No matter how many passports that you carry, yes, you can get the best things of life in many of these countries. You're still Nigerian. That's who you are. That is the truth. But as I said, truly, people just want the basic amenities of life. There are people people have asked me, Madam, what are you still doing in Nigeria? You don't have a husband here. You don't have kids. Why are you still here? Sometimes I ask myself that question when you get out. When I travel and I'm going back, and my friends are asking me, so you're going back to die in Nigeria. What are you going there to do? Who do you have there? I have my old mom. I have my old dad there. Here, I have my siblings who can also take care of them and, distant relatives. But then, I just love this place as it is. Some would say, oh, because you have a job that pays you, you're doing well and all of that. What does doing well mean? That's what you need to understand. So talking about patriotism, it needs to start from home. You don't just wake up and find someone who's disgruntled and maybe not getting the best of things that they want to get, and you're saying be patriotic. Tell me how that's going to be. There are people who are also living in the US and, coming to Africa to settle. There are people who are living in the UK, coming to Africa to settle. So it depends on where it is that you find your happiness. But I'm saying teachers need to do their own jobs. And when kids are hearing you say, oh, how do you curse a nation and expect to profit from that place? How?
That's a big question.
So I'm wondering what would be running through someone's mind, such person's mind, where every other person stood up, and then only you're seated, fiddling and then sitting uncomfortably. What do you think could be running through such a person's mind?
It's just at that point, the person is just thinking about what the person is thinking. Aisha is just thinking about herself. She's saying, look, that's not my anthem. I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to stand up. That's her conviction. That's who she is.
But she's not alone. Obi Ezekwesili also said that I will always recognize the old national anthem. Now is now old. The old national anthem.
So these are the two people.
What message do you think they are passing to the future generation?
Obviously, you've seen the backlash as it is, how people have reacted to it. But these are the two people that you have seen. There are so many others who are under the table talking about it. I'm not going to accept it. I'm not going to accept it. But the question now will be, because you don't accept it, does it mean that it will not be played at national events? No, it doesn't mean that. People will some people will not just agree with some things, but it doesn't mean that it will not be adopted or it will not be played. People are beginning to sing it.
Honestly.
I actually saw a video when it was being played and, the camera was going around. People were just, they didn't know what to say.
Oh.
They didn't know what to say.
Just
they were
mouthing it. Whichever way they
mouthing.
can. Mouth
At least they
anything,
comply.
you get to know how to sing it.
So I think things would happen. Water will find its level and
Absolutely.
at some
In
point.
the coming days, water will definitely find its level. But you haven't sung this, just the first two lines.
Don't put me, Veronica.
I'm giving you
No, that's not the sound.
Nigeria. We hear
I thought the trying to roll the drums.
Don't put me on the spot, please. I'll pass on that.
All right. Ife Onyegbule, Director General, Imo Broadcasting Corporation, thank you so much for your time on the program.
Thank you for having me, and let's continue the awareness campaign. People need to understand it's our anthem, and we must embrace it.
Absolutely.